Hey everybody, Mark Zachary, Next Step Home Loans. Hope you're doing well. Next Step Home Loans is a mortgage broker shop here in Houston, but we can do loans anywhere in the state of Texas. So if you have any family, friends, coworkers that are needing mortgage services to either refinance an existing home or purchase a new home, we sure would appreciate you passing out our name and contact information to them. And we'd be glad to help them, and we'll always take great care of them. So I get a lot of good questions about calculating the APR and how it's calculated and what is it good for. And so I wanted to go over some of that with you today, calculating the APR, why it's always wrong, and why you shouldn't use it to be calculating, whether or not to use this loan program or that loan program without some additional information. So I wanted to go through some calculations with you and just show you how it's calculated. So we know that a loan amount with the interest rate and the term will give us a payment, right? It always gives us a payment. So if I have a $300,000 loan and the interest rate is 4%, the term is 30 years or 360 payments, we know that the payment is going to be $1,432. Well, the APR is based off of the amount financed, not the loan amount. So let's determine what the amount financed is. So if I have a mortgage loan amount of $300,000, yet there are lender fees of $3,000 and then interim interest of $1,432, the loan amount minus points minus lender cost minus interim interest gives me the amount financed. So in this case, we've got $300,000 minus points, because we're not paying any points here, minus $3,000 in lender fees, minus $300 in interim interest. That gives me the amount financed of $296,700. So that's the number we use to determine the APR. So let's look at a calculation here. So we've got the amount financed, we know the payment, we know the term. Now we just need to find the APR, right? So the amount financed from the previous screen is $296,700. The payment is $1,432. The term is 30. So therefore, your APR is 4.09. So your APR is always going to be higher than your interest rate because of the closing cost and the interim interest. So that's how that's determined. So what are the problems with the APR? The APR is never correct. It's always wrong because it always assumes that the borrower is going to stay the full term of that mortgage. So if we're doing an APR for a 30-year mortgage, it is assuming that that borrower is going to make 360 payments over the lifetime of that loan and stay there. I've been in this business 27 years. I've never had a borrower get a loan from me and stay in there until they pay off the house. They always leave in 5, 6, 10 years tops and move up or move down or retire, or whatever the case may be. They just don't stay that long. Also, a problem with the APRs, we can manipulate it. You saw on the previous screens that the interim interest is also calculated or used in the calculation of the APR. If I want to make my APR look better, all I do is move my closing date all the way to the end of the month, the 30th or the 31st, and therefore I only have 1 or 2 days of prepaid interest, which is the interim interest, and versus another lender that may put their closing date on the 5th of the month where they have 25 or 26 days of interim interest. So the lender can always manipulate the APR. We just talked about that. And if I want to lower the interim interest, I do what I just talked about. I move my close date. So it can be manipulated by the lender itself. So let's take a quick look at, so what if? So at the current example, 4.09, if you paid off in 10 years, it'd be 4.23. If they sold or refinanced in 7, and now it's 4.32. If they sold or refinanced in 5 years, it's 4.45. And I've done all these calculations ahead of time. Borrowers sold or refinanced in 3 years, which is very common right now, people buying and refinancing within a year. Now that APR is at 4.74. So let's look at example. There's the first example that we looked at. Here's an example 2, where the same mortgage, different interest rate, 3.5%, but now they're paying 3 points for that particular interest rate. Over the last year and a half, I've been telling people do not pay points to buy your rate down, because we saw that the rates were going to be dropping significantly, and we thought that people would be refinancing. So paying of these $9,000 in points was going to be a waste of money. That is holding true right now, as people are refinancing like crazy. So the interim interest on this particular example is $262. The monthly principal and interest is $1,347. So you can see it's $85 less than example 1. So example 2's got to be the best deal, right? The APR is 3.84 versus 4.09. My payment's $85 or less, so it's clearly the best deal, right? Not so sure. Let's check it out. So what if they pay off, example pays off in pays off 30 years, they keep the whole deal, 3.84 versus 4.09. Great, good job. You win by paying 3.5% and those $9,000 in points. Great investment. Borrower sold or refinanced in 10 years, bam, you're already above what you would have been on that 4.0 with no points. So now your APR is higher since you've paid off in 10 years. Pay off in 7, refinance or sell, now you're up over 5%. Paid off in 5, now you're close to 6, and now you pay off in 3 years. Oh, sorry about that. 3 years, you are already close to 7%. So all these people that purchased and bought points in the last 2 years or so, and now they're refinancing, they're paying big time. That APR on that loan that they had previously is carrying a big APR. So super important for you to realize how that's calculated. So is there a better way? Absolutely. We always calculate the break-even point for our customers. Mr. Borrower, are you going to be there? Your break-even point is at 6 years, or your break-even point is 4 years. What are your plans? Are you going to be there 5 years, 6 years, 8 years? If they're going to be there past the break-even point, then we point them to this particular loan. If they're going to be there under the break-even point, then we point them to a different loan program. And next time we share a different video, we're going to go over how we calculate that break-even point and what is best for the borrower themselves in the long term, and based on how long they plan on being there. So that's it for this week. Hope that helps explain to you what the APR is, how it's calculated, and why it's not good to use as your only barometer, I guess, for determining which one is the best loan program. Always here to help with anything you need, answer any questions you've got. Give us a call. All of our information is down here, or you can visit our website at nextstephomeloans.com, and we'll get back with you. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.